Now, in our day, there is another group of men that are sitting at one table, our governing body. They never lie or deceive us. We can have absolute trust in the governing body. They meet all the criteria that Jesus gave us to identify them by. We know exactly who Jesus is using to protect his people from the lies. We just must stay alert. And what table can we trust? The table surrounded by our future kings, the governing body.
Welcome back. Well, we certainly got our eyes opened. This they dropped this on yesterday night, and it seems like the Watchtower has been dropping new videos Friday nights, and I'm wondering why. Are they worried? Well, they sure want people to know who the future kings are. And if that's not the telltale signs of the king of Babylon saying, "Bow down to me," I don't know what is. So now, when you think of this video was put out by, what's the guy's name here?
Daniel 11:27.
Gary Breaux is who put this out. That's the guy right here. We'll get him on the screen. And yeah, he's one of the governing body helper members. What does it say here?
Kings
helper to the service committee,
speaking lies to each other.
So if you could imagine you're the governing body and you want to get the message out that you're the future kings. Could you imagine? That's a powerful message to get out to your audience. And when you think of it, just 12 years ago when I left in 2012, I did not know any of the governing body names. They were not public like this. But today, all 9 of them now are public. The most public that the governing body has ever been in the history of this religion. So now these guys want you as the audience, us as the audience, to know who the future kings are for the earth. This is the future kings over all the earth. And they want you to know that they are not liars. They have always told the truth. They are not liars. They don't deceive anybody. And they're the future kings. So let's go back to the future kings picture right here. And when you look behind me, you can see them. Let me just go back here. Yeah, when you look behind them, you can see them all. They're all there. They all want to be kings. So Stephen Lett, he's not too happy. He didn't get the big crown on the picture. But David Splain, he's kind of the boss king. He's got the biggest crown. And, it's depends, eh? Depends what kind of crown you have. Well, these guys are narcissists to the 10th degree. And they will portray themselves. They're portraying themselves here as kings. Now, I ask myself the question: why didn't they come out themselves and just say, "Hey, we're the kings. We're the future kings"? You see, that would be too obvious, of a narcissist to self-proclaim. Even back to the days of Russell, Russell didn't self-proclaim himself as the faithful slave. He was sitting having a conversation with Maria one night, and they were reading the Bible, and she said, "Well, Russell, you could be the faithful slave." So he took that home, and he hit a home run with that one, all the way to his grave. He was a faithful slave. So you see, his wife pointed him out. He may have led her to it, but she pointed it out. So here we have Gary. It looks good if Gary's pointing it out, not them. But guaranteed, they wrote this script. These scripts are all approved by the governing body. This pertains to the governing body. They approved every single word in this script. They wrote it. But they didn't want to present it because that would look too obvious. So they get someone else presenting it. These are our future kings. They don't lie. We can trust them. What a message to give to the flock. So we're gonna look at what else he has to say, Gary, and he's gonna tell us a whole bunch of stuff about the whole world being a liar. It's all misinformation. You see, what's happening, folks, is that right now the Watchtower is in a critical position, a real bad state. And there's a lot of information flowing out there about what happened in Norway. The other sides of the stories. What about all the CSA? Right now, there's so much CSA out there coming out. There's a survey done by Watchtower. It's just a recent survey. And they compared it to the amount of CSA cases in the Ark in Australia. And they compared that to the US. And there's a potential for 130,000 cases opening up in the US. So we're just at the tip of the iceberg. I'll put a link to that in my movie below, so you can see that. I thought that was an interesting survey. So we're going to take a look, before we look at this video any further, we're going to look at what it says about narcissism. Okay, we're going to look at this quickly. I looked at 2 articles because, you know, sometimes we, as the audience, we do not understand how the governing body thinks. You see, to really portray yourself as that you're the future king. You're proclaiming yourself as the future kings for Jesus. That's what's happening here. And to do that, there's things that narcissists think that you and I don't think like. So we're going to look at this a little bit here, what a narcissist lies and what it says about them. This is from Psych Central. And it says, sooner or later, everyone tells a lie. In fact, over a lifetime, we all tell many lies. The narcissist, however, is a liar. It isn't just what they do, it is who they are. In my work with daughters of narcissistic mothers, daughters frequently can't wrap their heads around why their mothers would lie. Perhaps this will shed some light on it. What's the difference between a person who tells a lie and a liar? When confronted with the opportunity to tell the truth or tell a lie, most of us check in with our inner selves to see if our answers feel right, don't we? This gut check is a calculation that happens automatically, mostly at the unconscious level. Now, this is true even for liars. Thus, we all act in accordance with our sense of who we know ourselves to be. The 3-year-old, mouth rimmed with chocolate, who declares with impunity she was not the one who ate the half-eaten candy bar, she's given a pass because we all know intuitively that she doesn't have a fully formed sense of self. So we're going to focus more on the adults. Narcissism is a disorder of self. It isn't so much an undeveloped sense of self as it is an impaired, fragmented sense of self. Self-based on opportunism instead of values. Life is a game and they play to win. What happens when otherwise good people tell a lie? Well, somewhere, somehow, most people will lie. And given enough reasons, fear or perceptive gain, most of us will violate our sense of integrity, our internalized values. We make the calculation that an untruth is worth telling. If we aren't a liar, we feel bad. And sometimes we feel really bad. We feel bad because who we know ourselves to be and our values don't match up. This inconsistency makes us uncomfortable. It costs us to lie. It happens. Now, what happens when a narcissist tells a lie? Well, the narcissist calculation is a different algebraic equation. It's a different form of math. A narcissist lie often also comes from his or her sense of self. And the difference is that their life has become a lie. And when their life becomes a lie, their lying is different. Different because their sense of self is different. The lie is not inconsistent with their sense of self. For them, the lie is a necessity to preserve what they regard as self. Think about what the governing body regards their self as. And there's been a lot of information out there where people are knocking it down and saying this is a parable, this whole faithful slave. It's not even true, and that's true. So the governing body's coming back even harder, and they got to tell us who they are. So this preserves what they regard as self. So the next item here is that self, however, is a set of defenses, not internalized values. That set of defenses stands as an armed guard against the horrible cauldron of self-loathing in which they are mostly unaware. And the defenses keep them unaware of the emotional pain that would otherwise swallow them up, or they so believe. And the secrets, the layers of the lies, become a fragile house of cards. The self they have built from those lies can easily cave in on itself under the weight of truth. And this is what's happening, folks, in court. We see that in Montana, all these lies are coming out, compounded. It's a web of lies that's happening right now. Okay, so the narcissist is operating from a place of defense all of the time. I'll just pull that up on the screen here for you. So the lie is more of a PR stunt of marketing, a marketing ploy, rather than a cohesive, integrated set of values. The narcissist's personality is more of a storefront designed to hide that there isn't any there. They can't ever let down their guard and let anyone in. So when we look at JWorg, it's a storefront. It's an online storefront. It's going to talk about that a little bit here. It says there is no true capacity for intimacy. They can't invite you into the store because the store is full of empty, discarded garbage. And they want you to, you see, folks, the reason JWorg is, their store is full of empty, discarded garbage is because they changed all their rules. You see, for 100 years, you weren't allowed to have beards. You weren't allowed to, sisters had to wear dresses. You had to count time vigorously. That all has changed in the last 6 months. So inside the Watchtower, and then they came out in the annual meeting and they said, we don't have all the answers. People from Sodom, we think they're going to get resurrected. Last year we said they were going to die. You see, so all of this stuff in the JWorg is garbage. It's all old. It's all outdated within the last 6 months. So they can't invite you really in. It's empty, discarded garbage. And they want you to buy the fiction that the storefront is so dazzling that you wouldn't need to come inside. When you go onto their storefront, they just show all of this dazzling stuff. And they just keep bombarding the audience with more dazzling stuff. So what they're saying is there's nothing to see here. Move along. Forget about the old ways, where you had to shave and all those things. We're a new religion. We even have a little bit of Christmas in our songs this summer with Jesus. We're not going to do it on that pagan Christmas, but we're going to do it in the summer. Yes, move along, folks. We're changing. This is what they're saying, folks. So it goes on to say here, they may have tons of friends, be the life of the party, but no one knows the whole story, do they? There will be gaps in their stories and in their lives. And they are marketing a self they want you to believe. They want us to believe this. They need us to believe the storefront, JWorg, is the store from God. It's a store from God. It's a store from Jesus. These days that can manifest as carefully curated Facebook page, Instagram feed. Well, we see the JWorg feed, JW Broadcasting, JW Library, all the kids' movies. And if they're convincing enough to others, then maybe, just maybe, they can believe it too. They don't experience it as manipulation or lying. Not exactly. They feel it's necessary for survival. Psychological survival. Intimacy is too threatening because you would want to come inside and have a look around. And they can't afford that risk for everyone to see the truth. See what's really happening in Norway. See what's really happening in Montana. You see, they don't want you to look outside the Watchtower because they're calling it misinformation. They're calling it lies. We're going to play a little bit more of their video. So this is what's happening. And what they say about their lies? Well, they say, I had to lie. You see, circumstances were such that it only made sense for me to lie. External conditions forced me to lie. I would be stupid not to. You see, when they go to court, they're lying and lying and lying. And what they are not saying is that their lie is an outgrowth of internal conditions or that it violated their values. There is no accountability for lying. And that's what Jeffrey Winder said. We're not responsible. We have no reason to apologize. So they don't feel they're responsible. They actually feel that way. And because they aren't taking accountability, they are telling you they will find a rationale to lie in the future. And they will lie to you. And the other person is so ridiculous or stupid or unreasonable, they left me with no other choice. They put the responsibility for lying on the other person. They made me do it. Again, you see the lack of accountability coupled with a degeneration of the other, or degneration is how that's kind of said. Sorry for my saying it wrong, but this is an important one. They made me do it. Lack of accountability. You know, they're putting it on the other person. And we're going to see that in this broadcast here in a second. And then the last one, I'm protecting someone by lying to them. So we're protecting the organization. It's called theocratic warfare. We can lie in court. We can lie all over the place. So if they knew the truth, it would hurt them. Not that everyone needs to know every thought or fact about our lives, about the Watchtower's lives, right? However, the narcissist will mislead, omit, or outright lie about a huge aspect of their lives and tell themselves they're protecting people. They're not hurting them. And this is how it happens. So all of these excuses reflect an impoverished and distorted sense of self. Paradoxically, they are lying. Not exactly. They are speaking the truth of who they are. So, yeah. This is quite the article. So we're going to carry on to look at a few more lies. We're going to see how they look at everyone else, how they're coming at us with the lies.
And as long as there's been human kings, well, lies have been told to the populace. The Greek philosopher Plato said this: the rulers of the state may be allowed to lie for the good of the state. And over the centuries, kings and rulers and diplomats have perfected their skills in diplomacy and deception. Now, the scriptures give us an example of a bold-faced lie by a diplomat. And if we turn to Isaiah 36, they were vicious, and truly, this was an empty promise coming from the table of liars. So note that the liars will often shroud or cover their lie in truths. The tactic that Satan uses is to insert something valueless or false in otherwise true statements. Did you note the lie was nestled in some truths? Faithful ones to see the lie that was inserted in otherwise true statements. There it says that the king of the north and the king of the south will sit at a table speaking lies. And that's exactly what happened. In the late 1800s, Germany, the king of the north, and Britain, the king of the south, told each other that they wanted peace. They lied to each other and they lied to the people that were following them. But the nations today are doing the very same thing. They're lying to one another and they're lying to their citizens. And in the near future, the world populace will be told a big lie from the table of the liars, just like the Rabshakeh did that we read earlier. What is the lie and how can we protect ourselves? Whenever it is that they are saying peace and security, then sudden destruction is to be instantly upon them. New English Bible. So when the attention of the humans is on the big lie, the hope for peace and security, destruction is going to strike them when they least expect it. Now in our day, there is another group of men that are sitting at one table, our governing body. They never lie or deceive us. We can have absolute trust in the governing body. They meet all the criteria that Jesus gave us to identify them by. We know exactly who Jesus is using to protect his people from the lies. We just must stay alert. What table can we trust? The table surrounded by our future kings, the governing body.
Okay, well, I'll let you guys decide. Does the governing body twist the truth? Do they tell lies? Do they change how things are? You know, these are all classics. Let's take a look at a few videos here. Now, this is Jeffrey Jackson at the Ark, and this is where he was put up on the Royal Commission. And this really woke a lot of people up. This one here. We'll just play this little bit here.
And do you see yourselves as Jehovah God's spokespeople on earth?
That, I think, would seem to be quite presumptuous to say that we are the only spokesperson that God is using. The scriptures clearly show that someone can act in harmony with God's Spirit in giving comfort and help in the congregations.
Well, that one statement, that one question at the Ark in Australia helped a lot of people wake up. You see, the governing body has been telling us for, well, since Russell, that they were the faithful slave. And they changed it over time. It was Russell, then it was Rutherford, and then it was a governing body, and then it was, you know, they would, it's like a wave, it changes. But ultimately, the leadership of that organization has always claimed to be this magical faithful slave. It's not even a prophecy they use, it's a parable. And they've laid claim to this. And they've laid claim to the point of saying, we are the future kings. And why are they doing this? Why such a strong message right now? Well, right now, all over the earth, they're getting beat up by the kings. Through the courts and through the governments, they're getting exposed. So they only have a few members left. And they have to really tell them that everything out there is lies, except for us. Well, that's not what I just heard at the Australian Commission. Let's take a look at some other stuff and see what they say. Now, this is The Truth Never Changes, Jerome. He gave me permission to run this whole video. So thanks very much for this collation, Jerome. We're going to run it right now.
The theme for the convention this year is very important It's based on something Jesus very simply said. He said, speaking of God, your word is truth. We say God's word is truth. With humans, I think we all know that it isn't always the truth, or they have to revise it or change it later on.
Now, years ago, our publications often...
Well, up until recently, publications have explained.
In the past, here's what we've said.
Now, you may recall that we used to think a certain way some 10 years ago.
For a number of years, our publications have explained.
Well, for many years, our publications have taught.
Well, for many years, including in the April 15th, 2009 Watchtower, our understanding was that
We have to make adjustments. Now, you may have heard of a few adjustments in our understanding of things already today, and there could be more adjustments that will have to be made later on.
But the governing body, and we really feel under the direction of Jehovah's Spirit, has recently undertaken a careful, prayerful study of this subject and have come to the conclusion that an adjustment in our understanding is definitely needed.
But now, prophecy is best understood when we consider it in context. And if you look at the context of Joel chapter 2, you are forced to come to a different conclusion.
As we look at the scriptures as a whole,
When we re-examine the illustration in the context, it's very clear to us that we needed to adjust our understanding.
Now, when you think of it, we sort of had our explanation backwards in the past.
Now, in the past, what we said,
Well, that's obvious. This explanation is obvious. Why didn't we see it before?
Some things Jehovah will not permit us to see, even though we read over it many, many times. We can't see it until Jehovah puts the light on it.
Daniel was told, many will rove about, and the true knowledge will become abundant. This is a gradual process. We are still roving about.
With humans, I think we all know that it isn't always the truth, or they have to revise it or change it later on.
Does the truth ever change? It does not. Our understanding of truth changes as we progress in understanding it, but the truth never changes.
So what is the governing body really telling us? They're saying, I am protecting someone by lying to them. If they knew the truth, it would hurt them. So in other words, if their audience knew the truth, it would hurt them. Not that everyone needs to know every thought or fact about what's going on with the Watchtower, how it's doing its court, how Brumley is now being sanctioned to pay up. No one needs to know that in the Watchtower. However, the narcissist will mislead, omit, or outright lie about the huge aspects of what's going on in the Watchtower, their lives, and then they will tell themselves that they are protecting the people. They're not hurting the people. And that's how they make it make sense in their heads. Well, that's all I have for you today, folks. Until next time, keep living your life with love. And when we live our life with love, lies cannot exist. We cannot love and lie at the same time. You see, the governing body, they don't love the people. They love their position. They love the fact that they're considered, well, they are the future kings. They're not just considered, they are the future kings. But then they lie in the Australian Commission and said that would be presumptuous to say that we're it. So which is it, Watchtower? Is it presumptuous, or are you the future kings? Well, I'll let you, the audience, decide. And thank you again, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.